two gargantuan, ginormous wins for Bitcoin. The first might seem slightly boring to some of you, but it's not, and it's going to lead to the second, and together these are huge boulders in what I foresee as the coming avalanche of Bitcoin adoption. The first, an accounting change. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. Let me explain. Imagine that you're the CEO of a company and you've been considering putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet. The problem used to be that if you bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and it dropped in value, you would have to reflect the Bitcoin on the balance sheet at the lowest price that it ever was. So if Bitcoin dropped from $50,000 to $3,000 and then went back up to 70, you would be able to show your shareholders the value of it at 3,000. So there's downside because it has to be reflected, by the way, in the income statement, which might lead to a massive drop in the price of the stock if you have a huge loss that this would be, even though you're holding on to an asset, but there would be no gain. So what happens? The CEO, wanting to keep his job, says that's a very good reason for me not to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet because I might get fired. Now, FASB and the other economic boards have eliminated this rule and are allowing you to account for the rise in Bitcoin because, as I may have mentioned previously, you weren't allowed to. Even if it went up from the very moment that you bought and it went up 100 times, it would still be on the books at the same price and you could not account for a gain until you sold it. And maybe you didn't want to sell. So now you've got people that were previously understandably concerned with potentially purchasing any Bitcoin might suddenly say, hey, there's might be some downside, maybe it goes down, but at least there's upside that I can account for in my quarterly earnings statement. Which leads me to the second piece of news. Google has announced that they will be accepting via Coinbase payment for their cloud computing services, cryptocurrency. I believe that there are 14 of them, including Ether, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and a few others. Now, in the past, Google would have turned this directly into fiat money. They don't want to keep it on the balance sheet. Now, and the most likely candidate that they will keep on is Bitcoin. It's a store of value of which is decentralized, which there can never be more than 21 million. Should Google do this, they would be taking some of the supply of Bitcoin off of the market and increasing demand as other companies would follow suit. When you see the big boys doing it, it suddenly gives other CEOs permission to do the same. It's the herd mentality. Somebody's sticking their neck out first. MicroStrategy did it, Tesla did it, Square and Jack Dorsey did it, now known as Block, by the way, and you will see more and more companies putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet now that the accounting standards have changed. And so my prediction is the fact that Google will be putting this on their balance sheet, which will drive other companies to adopt it because of the accounting change in part, and because Google is doing it. These are two huge boulders in the avalanche that will cause a cascade of purchases of Bitcoin as it becomes adopted as the global standard as a store of value, especially as they continue to print money ad nauseum, debasing the currency that many people hold. Let me know your thoughts below. Might seem like these things are small, but they're actually huge. Peace.